Welcome to RSAC Conference 2025. Yeah, it's very lovely here in San Francisco. The estimable Jeff Mann and I are going to wrap up the first day of this thing, which lasts all the way till Thursday, but we're going to wrap up the first day, if you can imagine that. So that's pretty, I guess that was a big honor, or I don't know, maybe it was a liability. It's always hard to say, but they have so many sessions going on. It's been like this sort of crazy day. I have my roadmap.
Oh, you got that.
I mean, just to show you, like, what this thing is like, you know, and it's like, look at this. I mean, this is the front side of like.
But show them the map.
8,000 sessions, and then here's the map, which is more complicated than like the New York subway map to try to get
that's
to all.
Like, that section is probably 2 football fields.
Yeah, and like Jeff is here, and I'm here, and we neither one of us know how to get out of here. So
it covers like 3 counties in San Francisco. Right?
Exactly, but seriously, I mean, forget it. I mean, there are so many sessions on this thing that it's like, I mean, it's really, really impressive. And so this is going to be the wrap up of day 1. I mean, I think so. Jeff, hi.
Hey, Doug, how you doing? Have you ever been to RSA before?
Yes, I have. I spoke at RSA one time. Thank you very much.
How much did it cost?
How much did it cost?
To pay, to speak.
We don't talk about that stuff. I mean, I was just like, you know, I give a little, you give a little, and next thing you know, I'm on stage and they think I'm a guy named Rob.
That's cool.
You know,
That's cool.
I was like up there. I mean, you know, yeah, I got dragged out, but it was okay.
But you haven't been here in a while.
No. The last time I was here, I was speaking, and it was probably like 2017. It was before the pandemic.
Right.
And so
you weren't here the great year 2020 when, like, day 2 of RSA, they declare a pandemic.
It's over.
And we're like, what do we? No, we kept going. What did we do?
Oh, that was crazy. I was at school that year, and they just like literally came out with an announcement in 2020, and they said, tomorrow no one will be on campus. Campus is closed. You will not be able to come on campus. Please take whatever you need and go home.
And ever since then, I mean, I've been going for the last 10 years or so. 2021 was virtual, didn't happen. 2022 was here, and it was like, you know, this big.
Like 9 people.
And every year since, it's been bigger and bigger, getting back.
Yeah.
I thought last year it was pretty much full bore, but so far this year, I'm like,
this looks
okay, we've pulled out all the stops. Everybody's
This
back.
looks like what it looked like when I was here before.
Yeah,
I mean, it was like
kind of
totally
back to
insane,
full
and I didn't know what I was doing, so I just shown up, and I got here on like Monday morning or something. I was on like one of those crazy early flights, and I got here and I came over here, and there was like lines around the block, and I was supposed to speak, and it was all insane and everything else. But it's been a lot better. I mean, but there's a lot of people here.
So to recap, for those that have never been to RSA Conference, which now has been rebranded RSAC
Conference,
because C stands for community, because
yes,
we're all about
it does.
community.
C is for community.
So it's the RSAC Conference. Day 1 is the day where people start showing up. The vendors have been busy since yesterday, setting up their booths in the vendor hall. We were here setting up this yesterday. Well, we weren't. The people
I saw
behind the cameras do it.
I was walking down here this morning, and I saw CrowdStrike, and they had more stuff than, like, they were unloading like a semi-truck.
Oh, yeah.
And it was like
crazy.
Furniture and all this, and I was like, wow.
They have
I wanna know
booths
what's
in there that are like 40 feet by 40 feet by 40 feet tall,
I wanted to know what was in there, but
stories.
they wouldn't let me in.
They put couches and chairs up on the second level for private meeting areas.
I was like out there going like, you know who
But
I
that
am?
hasn't
You know
even,
who I am? And
that
they
hasn't
wouldn't let me
even
in.
started yet. The vendor floor opens in about 15 minutes with a vendor reception. But pretty much all day today, there's a few. There's a lot of talks going on. So people go to the talks. People pick up their badges. We started broadcasting at, what was it, 9 o'clock this morning.
Yes.
But this is, it's been a busy day, but it hasn't even started yet because the vendor thing hasn't happened
Like
yet.
the expo doesn't even open till tonight. So the expo was at 5:30, which is like there's like, I don't know, 300 or
Well, that's
something.
what I meant by the vendor thing. The expo.
Oh yeah.
They
so
open up the floor and
major
it's a
expo.
mixer, networking, reception.
But, yeah, there was tons of talks today. I mean, there was again, it was so many talks like on that sheet that it was just like, I haven't been to too many things that had this many simultaneous tracks, because like I go to a conference every summer where it's like, you're up, and it's just like that's it. It's like I get my time, and the 17 people that are there like watch me talk, and then. But this is like, I think they have like 20 or something simultaneous tracks of stuff. So there's all kinds of things Now I'm going to give you a tip though. If you're watching and you're coming out here, if you go to the Hilton, you can get your badge. I went over there yesterday. It literally took me less than 2 minutes to get my badge. I was in and out. By the time I just typed in my email address, and by the time I walked over the counter, they had my badge.
So tomorrow they're gonna be like, why are all these people showing up?
Yeah, sorry. Like, too bad. Although my biggest problem I've had so far was I couldn't get an Uber at the airport.
You don't do an Uber in San Francisco. You got to do Waymo.
They don't have Waymo at the airport.
Oh, they doesn't go to the airport?
No.
Oh, that's too bad.
Yeah, they just let you out in the countryside
They're all
somewhere.
street level here. So,
yeah, but there was so many people getting Ubers, but then I was like, use the old ways, Luke. Use the old ways.
Don't they have a subway or a train
Well, they
system?
do, and that was my oldest way, but there's another old way that I know you're familiar with. It's called the hack stand. And I was like, I bet there's a hack stand. So I walk over to police or security, and I was like, is there a hack stand? He was like, yeah, down on the first floor. I went down, there was 15 cabs sitting there. The cab was like, please, get in my cab, please. And
they were fighting over who was going to.
Yeah, and I was like, I grabbed two other people. I was like, hey, are you coming to Union Square? And they were like, yeah. And I was like, let's split the cab fare like we used to do in the old days. And $20. It worked really, really well. So
well, those were the days. So this is your first time back in 6, 7, 8 years. What are you looking forward to this week?
Well, there's lots of tracks, right? I was like there were just tons.
So you actually go to the talk tracks. You try to get some in.
I try to go to some because we have to do all this, and so I've mostly been running around facilitating things today. But right. There was some tracks one track I saw I was really happy with today was Home and Family track.
Okay.
I never stop talking about that on Security Weekly News, which all of you watch religiously, and if you don't, well, we know who you are. We're watching you. But I saw that, and I took about that a lot, about CISOs and people not just thinking about getting materials out for their employees and saying, don't do these things that are bad for the company, but I'm like, you really don't want your family to be being compromised either, because when that's going on, you basically have the potential for all kinds of transference of bad things that sneak into your company, where your cousin gets, is getting exploited somehow, and they say, now could you get these passwords from your uncle or what have you? Right. I think I got the family lines a little messed up there, but that kind of stuff. So
you're from West Virginia?
I was pleased to see that. Don't be nice. I was pleased to see that on there. They had the Usenix papers. So
okay, yep.
And I probably mispronounced it wrong. It's probably pronounced some other way, but I've always pronounced it Usenix. Yeah, and
Usenix.
If Paul was here to tell me how to say it right, I'm sure it would be better. But I'm going to say Usenix, and if you don't like it, well.
Speaking of Usenix, I flew into San Francisco yesterday morning. My tradition is to get here Sunday morning and go hang out at B-Side San Francisco for a couple hours. That's the first opportunity to run into people I know and do a little bit of networking. So I'm over at B-Sides yesterday, and I'm, sort of surveying the crowd, and I see this guy stands out in the crowd, very long, flowing, wavy red hair, and I'm like, that looks like Dan Farmer. What would Dan Farmer be doing here? So I did one of those slick, got to get closer to him, walk, try to get a good look at his face. I'm like, Dan? He's like, yeah, Dan Farmer. I'm like, Jeff Manning? He's like, Jeff! I'm like, Dan. So Dan Farmer's here. I trust you know who Dan Farmer is. Okay. Tell the audience who Dan Farmer is.
Forensics, the father of forensics.
Not quite.
Okay,
part of it.
Well, yeah, some of it.
Well,
how do you want to present? I know who Dan Farmer is.
Well, you're right. Father of the forensics. He wrote a tool in 1990 called COPS.
Yeah.
Which was an early forensics tool. I know him more for the vulnerability scanner that he wrote with Vitsa Venema called Satan.
Well, yeah, I had that same experience, not with Dan, but with Visti Finema. I was at a conference, like a kind of obscure conference, and I saw his name, and I saw him, and I was like, whoa, are you Dr. Finema?
Us old people don't get fanboy moments too much.
I was like, you're Dr. Finema, and he was like, yes, I am.
So, Usenix, the first time I met Dan was at a Usenix conference, I think in 2000, it was in New Orleans, my first time to New Orleans. And we had a mutual friend that went out to dinner with him, and then I spent the evening with Dan Farmer doing the French Quarter.
Oh, that's cool.
That was a very memorable evening.
I think I would like to go. Maybe I could go back in time and see that. That might be quite interesting. Yeah, that could be really weird.
And then we interviewed him. We did a series several years ago before COVID where we were trying to interview all the pioneers and the people that we knew as sort of the founders, the architects of the early tools. I mean, back in those days, there weren't really any vendors. There was like one or two that sold a firewall, but then there was a lot of people that were just figuring it all out.
I remember compiling Satan.
Yeah.
I mean, I really
You
did.
can still compile
No,
Satan.
you can.
It's
Yeah,
still
absolutely.
out there.
I mean, it's. I mean, it was. If you don't know what Satan is, it stands for System Administrator's Tool for Administering Networks.
Yep.
You could actually compile it with a switch that made it compile as Santa.
Yep.
Because some people got upset about the word Satan. In fact, there's a book right now on my bookshelf. I know exactly where it's sitting. That says "Getting Started with Satan."
Nice.
And I've had many comments from like students and
Is it
parents
right
and
next?
people that.
Is it right next to the Bible?
You know, I'm gonna have to do. I'm
You
gonna,
need
I'm
to
gonna
do
have to
that.
get a Bible if they'll sell me one, and I'm gonna put it on my
You
shelf
can
next to that.
you can usually pick them up in a hotel room. At least you used to.
Not
be able to.
anymore. No, I
Are they
already.
gone now?
Yeah.
Yeah. You cleaned them out already.
Yeah, they're already all gone. Now you did B-sides. I think you mentioned that earlier.
B-sides,
So
yep.
so just if you're curious about that, tell them about B-sides.
So B-Sides is a conference that, Security B-Sides was a conference that was started 12, 13 years ago. The first one was in Las Vegas. It was an opportunity for more people to have opportunities to speak, because it's as many tracks as there are here. It's so hard to get a speaking slot at a conference like RSA or Black Hat or DEF CON. So this movement came up, the idea being, it's the B side of the 45. It's security, but it's not quite the front page. The first B-sides in San Francisco I went to was probably 10, 11 years ago.
Yeah,
it was in this little seedy bar about a mile away, kind of a
hill?
biker bar. No, it was up
the
the
biker
hill.
bar. Okay.
It was called the DNA Lounge.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it was a proper hacker hangout type of
What's
stuff.
that tiki one called? That's up on the hill.
That's the Tonga Room at the
Tonga Room.
Fairmont. That's a different.
They had a secret party down there last night. Was it? I wasn't invited, mind you.
No, you weren't.
No,
'Cause
I
you're
weren't.
not cool enough.
I tried to get in, and they were like,
Well, so B-Sides happens in San Francisco. Several years ago, they moved it to the Metreon, which is right next to Moscone, which is where RSAC Conference is. And it's a movie theater. So every movie theater, it's like a multiplex. They had tracks in it. And, the keynotes are speaking in an IMAX theater. So be careful of your slides if they're going to be like 100 feet long and 50 feet
"Oh
wide.
my God!"
So that was going on. And there was a tradition in the old days for people that came early for B-sides, were more hackers, practitioners, to gather in the Tonga Room at the Fairmont on the top of the hill on Sunday night, and it was called TongaCon. So during COVID, the Tonga Room stopped operating on Sundays, and to open it up, it's cost prohibitive, let's say. So for the last several years, a small group of us that want to keep it going have tried to find different venues to just sort of have an informal TongaCon. So yesterday it was Whiskey Con, it was Car Bomb Con, because we ended up at the Chieftain Irish Pub, that's just a block down the road. But it was a great gathering. We had like 60, 70 people show up. A lot of people, it's old home week. You're getting together with hacker family and seeing each other for the first time in who knows how long.
I mean, I'm probably going to get kicked out of RSAC for this, but I think B-sides is a more intimate, at least, I haven't been to every B-sides. I've been to some.
Right.
And I know, and they tend to have them before major cons like this. So,
Yep.
You have like the weekend before, like the DEF CON and Black Hat weekend, they have it before that.
Yep.
So if you're interested in a more intimate con, I think
Let's say more accessible. I mean, it's more of a teaching, learning, networking exercise.
Yeah.
Lots of villages to try your hand at different hacker skills and technology
I think it's a
skills.
great bolt.
Where here it's just
Yeah, I think it's a great
everything
bolt onto
that's
these
new.
big ones that have like
Yeah.
that. Even like DEF CON has so many sessions, but when you bolt that onto something like RSAC, it gives you some other perspectives. I think at the same time. So
Right.
big B-sides pitch. I think that's really good. Any other like super cool events that you know about? Jeff's taking me to a party later, and the password is Fidelio, but don't tell anybody. Any other super cool events you know about that I'm going to be excluded from?
There's so many networking events during the week. Many of the vendors, they will do networking events, and they're trying to pull people in because we have press media passes because of our affiliation here. We get invited to the VC parties. Come and meet all of our portfolio companies and stuff like that. The more memorable ones, the most memorable one, it's another kind of a hacker meetup. They're not even doing it this year, again, because cost prohibitive. So many restaurants and area places went out of business.
That's true. One of my
supply
favorites.
and demand, economics. there's some
Farallon,
kind of
where are
lesson
you?
there. But the only other thing I wanted to touch on is we're sort of ending the first day, but tomorrow it starts full tilt with the expo floor being open. There's always a theme that kind of emerges, and it's no big secret that this year the theme is AI. But what I have also found interesting in terms of the sub-themes, and I've seen this a lot already, is compliance, which is near and dear to my heart. Wait for it, because I do PCI, and I've been doing PCI for a long time, but I'm actually having much more interesting, engaging conversations with the vendors I've spoken to already, because they're aware of things like PCI and how many organizations, their approach and their attitude to security is just the compliance. It's what they have to do. And I've had conversations with, because of AI, the playing field's changing. There's more capability, there's more responsibility, there's more opportunity for wrongdoing. But the conversation is starting around the context of compliance, because that's what so many organizations think of when they think of security.
Well, we got tons more live content coming for you tomorrow with me, Jeff, everybody, all the other hosts, interviewing people that you want to hear from. We're going to be here all week. The show's going to be here all week. So if you're here, come by and say hi. If you're not here, be sure and tune in to all our live streams and check it out. Maybe you want to come next time. And the estimable Jeff Mann is here. So if you're nice to him, he might actually sneak you
into... And the irrepressible Dr. Doug White is here.
I can't sneak you into anything cool. I just, I think I know a bowling alley we can get into, but Jeff knows the right doors to knock on, all that kind of stuff. I am Doug White, Jeff Mann. Hope we see you around, and that's it for the first day. So
that's a wrap.